So here's the point, and here's the secret to suffering. I want you to get this. When we boast in our weaknesses, here's what we do. We depend upon God, and we are displaying that God is working in our life. Now, don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying or suggesting that in a very sadistic way, you and I go looking for pain. Like, hey, man, just punch me in the face for Jesus, you know? No, I'm talking about that. I love to suffer for Jesus. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, let's stop blaming the devil and let's stop getting mad at God. And instead of having a self-pity party through the pain, here's what you should ask. So if you're in a struggle right now, just came out or going in, these are the two questions every Christian should ask. Not, what are you doing? I'm going on a mission trip. Or, what are you doing? I just gave my life to... That's not gonna help. Here's what you ask the Lord. Two questions, write these down, Post-it note, phone, reminder, alarm, whatever. These two questions. In the midst of struggling, two questions. Number one, where are you taking me? Because he maybe take you to a new level, new ministry, new service. Where are you taking me? What are you teaching me? Every pain, every suffering trial, two questions. Where are you taking me? What are you teaching me? If you find yourself pierced with a thorn right now, let me encourage you, turn to the Lord. Seek God for wisdom. Be patient. Wait for God to work. Watch him display his power in your life. Friends, God works the best in the worst situations. Can I get an amen for that? I remember I was laying on that, as I lay on that operating table the Thursday before Easter. They had hooked me up to all the IVs, and they're about to put me under, and thank God one of my closest friends was the anesthesiologist, so he said, hey, I'm gonna give you a moment and I'll come back and put you down. It was just me alone in the room. There were some nurses working, and as I was laying on that bed, I started to think about my wife, Candy, and I thought about the wonderful 8 years the Lord had given us up to that point, because my whole life flashed before my eyes. I just thought I could possibly die. I didn't know. And I thought of the 9.5 years I had as a Christian with the Lord, and I just thanked the Lord, hey, if something happens, I'm just grateful I had 9.5 years to know what life could be like. But what got me was, as I started to think about the 2- and 4-year-old little boy, those little boys at home that I just had, Rig and Ryder, they were only 2 and 4. Tears started trickling down my face as I was laying on that table. And I was really overwhelmed. I'll be honest, I was a little nervous and anxious. And I'm not making this up. At that moment, as I was laying there alone, the last thing I heard in my head before I went under was this, right before Easter. Because he lives, you can face tomorrow. Because he lives, Ravi, all your fear is gone. It was very personal to me. Because you know who holds the future. Life is worth the living just because he lives. And looking back on that 13 years later, I will tell you this, I am a better man because of that trial. You see, what makes the Christian life so different than every other religion is without the cross, suffering makes no sense. There's no answer for suffering. But in Christianity, there's an answer. Why? Because God took something so horrific as the cross and he turned it around for the good of the world. You ever thought about that? The cross actually gives a voice to suffering, gives logic to suffering. God took the death of his son, sentenced through the cross, as a means to save the world from sin, flipped it on its head. And what that shows us today, and I want to give this to you, grace has the last word. Aren't you grateful for that? Grace is sufficient, grace is enough, and grace is what we need. In just a moment, I'm going to pray over you and for you for the grace of God to be given endlessly in your life, because that's what you need right now. But I need to say one thing before I move on, and this is one clarifying point everybody needs to hear. All trials in our life are not the sending or the result of God. I would say most of the suffering in our life could be traced back to the result of bad decisions on our part. You know what I'm talking? And I know for me, I could give a laundry list. What I mean is this: you can't blame God for being broke when you overspent on a house or a car. You can't blame God for your divorce if you were angry and overbearing and unfaithful. You see what I'm saying? Like a lot of the trials are our own doing. You can't blame God for your addiction if you keep going back to the doctor or you keep going, you see what I'm saying? You can't blame God for things that you cause. Now, here's what I want to say. Regardless of that, regardless of the trial you're in, God sent, you caused, whatever, the number one thing you need right now is grace.